Part 4. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 31. Woo. In a long corridor full of artistic atmosphere, there were bursts of strange crying sounds, like evil ghosts asking for their lives. And at the end of the gallery, a feng shui painting hangs. It was a cemetery in the wilderness. There is no tombstone in front of the grave. A man in white mourning clothes cannot tell the difference between male and female. He kneels in front of the grave, his body stiff and motionless. The pervasive sound of crying at the grave comes from this painting. The crying grew louder and louder. The grave weeper also seemed to come to life. An even more terrifying scene happened. The grave weeper walked out of the painting, half of his body already exposed. The remaining half is emerging from the painting. It wears a white filial piety hat on its head, and a white cloth hangs down to cover its face, half of its outline is faintly exposed. There is a dead air all over its body, without any breath of life. The player whose ID is Long Juezi is watching all this in horror. His name is Yang Feng, and he is an ordinary horror game player. He got separated. I strayed into the realm of ghost stories. Triggered the murderous pattern of the grave weeper. This ubiquitous cry is a manifestation of supernatural power. He couldn't control himself, his eyes were getting wet and his expression was becoming sad. He covered his ears, but the sound kept coming. What made him even more desperate was that not only could he not control his face, he couldn't even control his movements. He began to move and knelt down towards the graveyard in the painting. The supernatural power was controlling him, making him kneel down and weep at the grave. Yang Feng was frightened and fearful to the extreme. The horror level of this ghost is too high. No living person can resist it. His expression was so sad that he was about to cry. Yang Feng tried his best to endure it, but the moisture in his eyes was beyond his control, and the sadness in his heart reached the extreme. He looked at the information on the chat interface and felt desperate. Tap tap tap. At this moment, heavy footsteps sounded. Yang Feng was shocked. People. Or a ghost. He glanced back from the corner of his eye. More and more terrifying. It's a ghost. This is the 8th weird story on campus, the one with the head and the corpse. Yin Chai walks with ghost ropes hanging down behind him to hang the ghost up. It's over. Yang Feng was completely desperate. There are ghosts crying in the grave before, and there are evil things behind. It was impossible for him to run away. He finally sent a message to remind other players not to come. This gallery will become the most dangerous place on the campus. And he will be the first victim. Tap tap tap. The footsteps were getting closer. It was like a drum beating in his heart, making him palpitate. Close, getting closer. Yang Feng tensed his body, waiting for death. What are you doing kneeling here? A voice sounded in his ear. Yang Feng suddenly raised his head. Then he saw Shen Jian's normal human face, looking down at him. Rows of hoisted bodies floated around him. Yang Feng. Thank you, this is scarier. You are human. At this moment, Yang Feng said in horror. Because he noticed the player message on Shen Jian's head. King of Yama himself. Level, 10. Yang Feng was stunned. Player. This guy is actually a player. The 8th weirdest thing on campus that they said was actually a player? Hey, why are you talking? Of course I'm human. Isn't it obvious? Shen Jian lowered his head and glanced at himself. He has a nose and eyes, a heartbeat, and breathing, and he can sing and dance rap, but why was he expelled? Yang Feng. He glanced at the dozen ghosts around him and collapsed. Big brother, you are haunted by evil spirits, just like your little brother. Do you believe that you are a human being? Whoa. The faint crying continued. The supernatural fatal curse paused for a moment and then evolved directly to the third stage. The cry was dry and hoarse, beyond words. There is an inexplicable weirdness everywhere. The sadness that Yang Feng had just stopped suddenly emerged again. Ma Dan, I just wanted to say it, you're crying in the grave, why are you crying so unpleasantly? Shen Jian cursed. He turned around and walked in the direction of the grave weeper. Yang Feng was startled, brother, don't be rash. The closer you get to it, the more you can't help but think. Snapped. The words have not yet fallen. The crisp sound of cunts drowned out the cries. Yang Feng. He was completely confused. His pupils were shocked as he looked at everything in front of him. Grave crying ghost? The grave crying ghost was also confused. Brother, you are being unreasonable. When did the sound of crying at the grave become good? Isn't that the case? Your slap is a bit unreasonable. The grave weeper went berserk. The white cloth covering them began to flutter, and the cries became louder. It almost pierces the eardrums. At the same time, his lower body was struggling to get out of the painting. Shen Jian couldn't listen anymore. It's noise, and noise with echo. He took out the morning stick in his left hand and raised the giant scythe in his right hand. Shen Jian gave two options. Grave crying ghost. Can I not choose? The grave weeper raised his hand tremblingly and chose the sickle. Snapped. Shen Jian fiercely pushed his big dick over. Why the hell didn't you choose the morning stick? Do you think it's not kind enough? Grave crying ghost. You don't even give me a choice. The grave weeper cried. The drizzle of pear blossoms makes me feel so wronged. It felt like Gui's Hung had been insulted. He remembered. This human being must look good in the future. As for now. After the lesson just now, he became less unruly and decisively chose the morning stick. The next second. Another big dick hit me. He actually thought your sickle was not cute. I beat him for you to avenge you. Shen Jian said to the cracked girl. Ripped girl. Grave crying ghost. Ah, my mentality is broken. Tired, this world is no longer worth saving, just destroy it. A white cloth fell. This white cloth is the white cloth used by the grave weeper to cover his face. On it, you can clearly see the outline of a human face. The outline of the face is strange and hollow, with a sad cry. Get a crying face. Crying face, incomplete controllable. Note, cover your face and you can get a second face. Hey, this won't work anymore? I still like your unruly look, how about you recover? Crying face. Shen Jian was a little stunned. This grave crying ghost has a poor psychological quality. He picked up the white cloth on the ground. The white cloth was rough and old. It wasn't so much white cloth, but it had actually been dyed gray and a little dirty. The outline of a crying face was printed on it. This is the true form of the grave crying ghost, a crying face. This reminded Shen Jian of the scarecrow serving his sentence in the first level of the 18 Hells. There happened to be a smile on his face. Even the rules of killing are similar. One is a smiling face that was dug out, and the other is a crying face that was printed on. Crying and laughing, two similar grimaces. Shen Jian put it away without intending to control it. He likes to hunt for novelties, but that doesn't mean he is willing to become one. The other side. Yang Feng was stunned. The grave crying ghost was solved like this? If he read correctly, the grave weeper ghost was definitely a white-clothed level ghost, and its level of terror was not bad even among 2-star dungeons. After all, the grave crying ghost can kill people just by crying. If it weren't for the lack of movement ability, this would definitely be a difficulty only for dungeons with 3 stars or above. But he was taken into custody by a level 10 player. I am super, you are a bit unreasonable. Even if the boss opens a trumpet, you should at least show your supernatural power. Just relying on a few big pussy pockets can make the ghost submissive. If you tell me this, no one can accept it? Do you still want to kneel down? I allow you to stay flat. Shen Jian said casually. Yang Feng. He was a little embarrassed to say, my legs are weak. It's okay, it's normal. I think back then. Yang Feng was stunned. Could it be that the boss wanted to say that he was so scared that his legs weakened? Ghosts also kneel to me like this, I'm used to it. Yang Feng. At the same time, Instructor Qian and his group, who had already approached the gallery floor, felt their hearts sink. There was no crying. Is it over yet? Did Yin win? Or did the grave crier win? Everyone's heart is heavy. Because no matter what the outcome is, the lone player will not survive. Human beings are too fragile. Even if they have supernatural props, the survival rate when faced with ghost attacks is less than 1%. Instructor Qian at Longjueze, don't worry, I will report the information to the authorities when I get back, and there will be support staff to secretly help your family rest in peace. Although the other party could no longer see it, Instructor Qian still solemnly promised. Just suddenly, a message appears in the chat interface. Longjueze. Instructor Qian, it's a scam. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 32. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw the new message that appeared on the chat interface. A mortal man suddenly sent a message. What a horror. Until they saw Yang Fen kneeling in the gallery. And the 8th weirdest story on campus, the underworld. Behind Yin Chai, the ghost rope was floating, and the red straw ropes hung down to lift the ghost up in the air. All of them had throat rolls. This scene is a test of one's courage. Without any mental preparation, few dared to approach. This time, they finally saw clearly what was going on. Really human. Let me knock, this must be a god. A level 10 player not only beat up ghosts, but also engaged in catching ghosts. Those who didn't know better thought he was a ghost dealer. Shen Jian asked curiously, I heard from Yang Feng that your mission is to witness the 7 strange stories. What will happen to the players if they fail to complete the mission? Instructor Qian showed a hint of fear, it's best not to try it, it will be miserable. Oh? Tell me, Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. This Blood Moon High School is a bit interesting. One instructor, Fang, is in the junior high school, and one instructor, Qian, is in the high school. They are all official people, and they know so much about the information about these copies. They must have an in-depth understanding of thriller games, so they can probably get some unusual information. Instructor Qian seemed to be recalling something. Our people once tried to avoid ghosts in a 1-star dungeon without taking the initiative to complete the task. But the result was that 3 days later, the player was transported into a ghost city and was torn into pieces by thousands of ghosts. As soon as these words came out, the players collectively felt chills. Ghost Town. This sounds like it is no place for players to stay. Is it a horror world? No, the horror world has rules like the real world. Under normal circumstances, even ghosts have to abide by them. But in the ghost city, there are no rules. Ghosts can kill people at will. It is like a prison where ghosts are exiled. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Some players turned pale. It seems that we can't complete this mission. The strange stories have disappeared. The 13th flight of stairs disappeared for no reason, Hanako disappeared, the ghost in the mirror disappeared, and the girl with the cracked mouth could not even see her shadow. Several of the 7 strange stories disappeared directly. They take the lead and get the job done. Shen Jian asked strangely, disappeared? No, are you looking for them? Say it. The ghost rope is loosened. Several ghosts fell down. Without the suppression of the ghost rope, the ghost's instinct began to revive again. The killing pattern is in motion. The ghost's body in the mirror is almost nothing in the darkness. Only the sound of footsteps can be heard, gradually approaching the player, trying to replace the player's identity. Jingle bell. This is a ghost call launching an attack. His body was twisted at 180 degrees, and his limbs were crawling with deformities. The black shadow parasitized by the ghost eye also came to life, and its dark body walked stiffly. I'm knocking, don't you remember to hit me? Do you still dare to move? Shen Jian grabbed the morning stick and swung it, beating the ghost in the mirror until his skin was torn and his body began to scream and wail. That sound makes the listener sad and shed tears. The players were completely dumbfounded. Who the hell is the ghost? It's too cruel. The ghost in the mirror squatted in the corner and covered his face with the last bit of stubbornness. As long as I can't see it, then there's no one there, so it's not a shame. Where are you guys? Want to try too? Shen Jian turned around expressionlessly. Black shadow. Ghost call. The two ghosts slowly squatted down and held their heads. There are bullies who cannot be beaten. Okay, come on one by one, just play the game casually. Shen Jian said casually. Pointed at the ghost call. Ghost call. Are you asking me to fake a match? I also have professional ethics. The nature of my job does not allow me to do this, and I will definitely not comply. 2 minutes later. With bruises all over his body and face swollen, Ghost Lading slowly came to a player and grabbed the player's arm aggrievedly. Main mission, witness the 7 strange stories on campus, 1/7. The ghost call was even more sad. His professional ethics was ultimately destroyed by this devil. Player. The task was completed, but something seemed wrong about the process. Keep going, don't let me destroy you. Shen Jian was a little dissatisfied. Witness the 7 weird stories on campus, 2/7. 4/7. 6/7. It's your turn, just cry for me, just say what you mean. Shen Jian picked up the crying face. Crying face? I don't have any emotions, I can't cry. Weeping at the grave also pays attention to the atmosphere. You can't cry, right? Shen Jian grabbed one side with one hand and stretched the white cloth to both sides. Tear. Only the sound of a rag being torn apart was heard, and the crying face was instantly stunned. Don't pull it, don't pull it. Ah, I'm going to burst. Whoa. A faint cry sounded, like a ghost demanding life. All players immediately felt sad. Snapped. One slap down. Just say what you mean, don't you know your voice sounds bad? Shen Jian was disgusted. Crying face. Do you believe that I cried out loud again? What a bully. D. This game has ended. Congratulations to all players for surviving. The 6 players looked at each other squatting in the corner, like ghosts being coerced. The game is being settled. Settlement in progress. Warn. Warn. Red level warning. The copy of Blood Moon High School is facing a large-scale collapse, all the special guests disappeared, and the dungeon map suffered epic damage. Abnormal data analysis. The copy structure is abnormal. All players in this dungeon will be forcibly teleported out of the dungeon after 10 seconds. Players, please pay attention. 1098. Player, we guessed it. In a burst of white light, all 6 of them disappeared. The other side. Shen Jian also saw the warning text displayed on the game panel. The dungeon of Blood Moon High School collapsed. What does it have to do with my junior high school? Shen Jian curled his lips and returned to the junior high school through the barrier. The red warning text disappears. Copy, horrible college entrance examination, to be completed. He returned to the examination room. Because of his absence, the original male invigilator took over again. The moment he saw Shenjian, the examination room, which was missing a third of the candidates, suddenly fell silent. The ghost candidates restrained their yin qi one by one and lowered their heads. Don't dare to make any mistakes throughout the process. The players are also extremely curious. I want to know where Shenjian went. Envy in every sense of the word. Shenjian glanced at the time, and there was only less than 10 minutes left. Can't help but be disappointed. Still wasting too much time. Otherwise, he could still catch a few examples. After returning angrily, Shenjian did not stay any longer. This copy is a time system. Once the time is up, the game will automatically settle and he will not be able to operate it soon. This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the player for clearing the terrifying college entrance examination copy. The copy is being settled. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 33. This round of game has ended. Congratulations on completing the crazy college entrance exam copy. The copy is being settled. Player King Yama is named on the gold list, ranking first. Rating, S. Experience gained, 500%. Note, you have been promoted to level 13. Item obtained, Thriller Coin * 1000. Get a special reward, a blood-stained examination paper. Get a special reward, the Ghost Principal's attention. Note, due to the player's outstanding performance, you are valued by the principal of Blood Moon High School and want to promote you to the teaching director. The player has started the Blood Moon High School stage mission, can be completed. Real world. Shenjian looked at the news above and was a little surprised. It turned out to be an S-level rating. He remembered that he didn't seem to have done much in junior high school. I thought it would be a grade. And he actually qualified in first place. It seems that he made a very right choice by packing up the top student ghost. Shenjian glanced out of the corner of his eye, and another reminder line appeared on the game panel. Dear players, please note that the copy of 7 Weird Stories on Campus has suffered unknown damage and is under emergency repair during the maintenance period. The copy will no longer be available. We are very sorry for the inconvenience caused to everyone. Affected players will receive a compensation, please claim it. Why? Am I affected too? Shenjian thought for a while. Yes, he was also in that dungeon at the time. The dungeon collapsed, so the game naturally gave him a compensation reward. This design is very Ginkgo. Shenjian clicked on the reward. Thriller Coin * 100. Item, Coupon Exchange Coupon, one-time use. Introduction, using this dungeon, you will be randomly matched into a dungeon that does not exceed your current level. Looking at the items in his hands, Shenjian was really happy this time. Copy exchange coupons, which means he has another channel to purchase goods. Shenjian's eyes fell on the special rewards of the copy again. Promoting him to the position of Dean is another phase task similar to that of the Rebirth Villa and the Supernatural Funeral Home. Shenjian simply ignored it. Every time he completes the S-level evaluation of a copy, he will get a follow-up task related to it. He has collected 3 of them now, but they can only be seen but not eaten. However, another special reward is a bit interesting. Item, blood-stained exam paper. Introduction, throwing out the test paper can force the ghost's attention to the test paper. It cannot escape the control of the test paper until it is completed. This is a supernatural prop. It is the reward for being ranked first on the gold list. It can forcefully divert the sight of ghosts, which is extremely useful. At the critical moment, there is undoubtedly an extra life. The harvest was pretty good. Shenjian was very satisfied. Netherworld. The sky and the earth turned pale, and the underworld leading to hell was stepped on by Shenjian. Hades. Yamahal. A virtual 3D image of the 18 levels of hell appeared in front of Shenjian. A sufficient number of ghosts have been detected, and the second level has been unlocked. The second level of the 18 levels of hell can be customized. Weird monsters detected: yellow-haired ghost, overachiever ghost, long-tongued ghost, scumbag ghost, Hanako, ghost in the mirror, cracked girl, ghost call, crying face, piano ghost. The third level of the 18 levels of hell can be unlocked. Unlocking conditions: 50 or more monsters with bad karma. Shenjian fell into deep thought. This is not efficient. The third level of hell requires more than 50 monsters to unlock, so how many monsters are needed for the subsequent 15 levels of hell? I'm afraid it's an astronomical number. He needed some ghosts with a higher level of horror. For example, one white-clothed ghost can be as powerful as 10 ordinary ghosts. After catching 5 ghosts in white, the third level of hell will be unlocked. Think about it. Shenjian threw all the ghosts in the mirror and more than a dozen ghosts into the first level of hell. Ghost in the mirror? Sexist, right? I can also change my gender. Screaming hopelessly, more than a dozen ghosts wandered in the gray space. Diddy diddy. There was a rapid sound of a hearse. The ghost teacher was already furious, so he stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. Knocked all the way. Only bursts of screams and wails were heard, and a large amount of yin qi was collected. Yin energy reserve, 300. Shenjian glanced at it and stopped paying attention. Today's underworld is full of waste and everything is under construction. The 6 paths of reincarnation are no longer there. The various infrastructures that maintain the operation of the underworld also disappeared. Gaimengguan, Huangquan Road, Huangchuan River, Nehi Bridge, Mengpotang, Wangxiang Terrace, Sansheng Stone, flowers of the other shore. There are also 10 palaces of the King of Hell, with all kinds of ghost generals and commanders under his command, bull-headed and horse-faced, and shady envoys, none of them. He needs to do all this. The most important thing now is to unlock all the 18 levels of hell. To do this, he needs to catch more tricks. While thinking, Shenjian returned to the real world. Open the game panel again. Congratulations to the player for reaching level 10. You have unlocked the 2-star copy countdown, 10 days. You have unlocked new gameplay. Players can freely choose the difficulty of the copy. Every time a 2-star dungeon is cleared, players can gain the permission to temporarily stay in the horror world. Every time you clear the 2-star dungeon 3 times, you will be granted 3 months exemption from entering the horror game. Every time you clear the 1-star dungeon 10 times, you will be forced to enter the 3-star dungeon once. Shenjian looked down all the way. Well, it is indeed a thriller game, and it does not want to give players a way to survive at all. It seems that you can freely choose the difficulty of the dungeon. But after selecting the 1-star dungeon 10 times, you will be forced to enter the 3-star dungeon, suddenly changing from a low-end game to a peak game. Whether 2 or 3 of the 10 players can survive is a question. Shenjian clicked on personal information. Player, King Yama. Level, 1-3. Identity, King of Hell. Ability, Ghost Pressure, Senluo Ghost Energy. Strength, 40, the limit for ordinary people is 10. Speed, 40. Yin Qi, 1000. Thriller Coin, 13400. Weird Objects, Ghost Rope, Ghost Sickle, Bloodstained Test Paper, Morning Stick, Soul Seducing Chain. Dungeon Countdown, 10 days. In 10 days, all the flowers I have been waiting for have withered. Shenjian took out the compensation reward for the copy of Blood Moon High School. A yellowed piece of paper, like a stamp. Tear apart. This time he is bound to use ghosts to fill the void in his heart. It was detected that the player used the dungeon redemption coupon. Based on the player's current level, random matching has started. Matching successful. The player has been matched to the copy, Supernatural Amusement Park. Current difficulty, 2 stars. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 34. You have completed the match. Loading. A sufficient number of players have been detected. The game officially begins. Copy, Supernatural Amusement Park. Content, this was once the most prosperous paradise in the horror world. Unfortunately, due to poor management, it is facing closure. Number of players, 3. Main mission, experience a project. Friendly reminder, the ghosts inside are very hungry, please don't mess with them. Difficulty, 2 stars. Confidence in scarlet font. The picture in front of me went from blurry to clear. Shenjian opened his eyes and found that he was already in the square of the amusement park. The first thing that catches the eye is the tall Ferris wheel, a giant wheel-shaped thing that rotates slowly. Below the Ferris wheel is an open-air bumper car venue, with large pendulums and pirate ships lined up on both sides. His eyes slowly swept towards the amusement park, and he saw a carousel playing soft music, a jumping machine that went straight up and down, and some messy roof buildings. And he was standing in the middle of the square. Oh my god, it's all ghosts. Shenjian heard someone exclaiming in his ears. It was a young man about his age. The ID is Shan Gongzi, level 15. The sound just now was made by him. The chat interface said, "Don't trigger the killing pattern of these ghosts." Another player whispered. She is a little girl, not very old, with long black straight hair. The ID is MOU, level 14. There is yin qi on his body, and it seems that he also has supernatural props. It is a quality match. Also, there are basically not many people who can advance to more than 10 levels and dare to open a 2-star dungeon. Task tip, please go to the ticket office to pick up tickets and complete an amusement park project. Note, players cannot select the same item repeatedly. Confidence in scarlet font. Shenjian's eyes moved and looked towards the ticket office in the shade. Also saw the game project above. Big pendulum, bumper cars, Ferris wheel, pirate ship, roller coaster, carousel, house of horror. There are many projects, more than a dozen in total. And the prices are not the same. Master Shan, isn't it intended to cost us at our own expense? A carousel costs 100 thriller coins, damn, he was stealing money, no wonder it went bankrupt. What kind of villain would play such a thing? Shenjian. Little girl. MOU, the higher the price, the more terrifying the supernatural level, then just choose a project with a minimum of 100 thriller coins. I always feel that it won't be that simple. I'll go, 1000 horror coins at a time. Is this horror house a haunted house inside? The young man couldn't hold it back and exclaimed. After looking around, he breathed a sigh of relief when he found that there were no ghosts. The little girl also felt a chill. Among the game projects that cost an average of 200 to 300, a project that requires 1000 thriller coins to play appears. It seems that it is not something that players of their level can take risks. It was indeed a haunted house. As for other roller coasters, jumping machines, and Ferris wheels, they were abandoned directly. There are actually not many left to play with. Which one do you choose to play? Mr. Shan said. Photo studio. The little girl thought for a moment and said. Then let me play the merry-go-round. Mr. Shan thought for a moment. Shenjian looked over. Photo studio, 100 thriller coins. Carousel, 100 thriller coins. They are all the ones that cost the least money. The two looked at Shenjian. Shenjian, haunted house. Brother, your joke is no good. It's not humorous at all. Young Master Shan twitched his lips, ignored Shen Jian, and came to the ticket office alone. I'd like to exchange my ticket for the carousel. The words fell. A pale hand stretched out. Hand out the game ticket. Female gamers followed suit. Shen Jian approached and said, I want to exchange a ticket for the haunted house. Two-player horror. Brother, I'm sorry, you're not just talking. Level 13, are you so brave? Who gave you the courage? The two were confused. The ghost in the ticket office seemed to pause for a moment. Then an empty face emerged from the darkness. The two players turned pale. It was not so much a face as there was no face at all. The entire face was just an empty hole, as if someone had forcefully dug out the facial bones, and there was a dark hole inside. This ghost has a very high level of terror. The faceless ghost looked at Shen Jian and handed over a ticket. Then I waited and waited, but no thriller coins came into my account. What, young man, do you want to buy a Overlord ticket? Shen Jian looked at the ticket, thought for a while, then reached into his pocket and handed over the identity card. Faceless ghost? What do you mean? I'm a student, can I get half the price with my student ID card? This time, I was speechless. You're a gamer, where did you get the student ID card from Horror World? Unless you take out a child ID card today, you have to buy it at the original price. After taking a few deep breaths, the faceless ghost shook his head. Shen Jian felt a pain in his heart. Even though it was only 1,000 thriller coins, who said he only bought one? If he bought it all, he would go bankrupt. He tried to make one last effort. What about the teacher's certificate? Shen Jian slapped his ID on the ticket hall, and suddenly the whole ticket hall shook, as if it was about to collapse. You see clearly, I am a star teacher. As far as I know, your amusement park is about to close down. You said that if I use my influence to say that your amusement park equipment is seriously aging and there are safety risks, look at it. Who else dares to come and play? Faceless ghost. Player. The two of them were going crazy. A look of horror on his face. Brother, you are really not afraid of death. Is this threatening a ghost? The faceless ghost picked up the certificate and looked at it, he couldn't hold himself any longer. This person who keeps threatening people is really a star teacher. 500 thriller coins. The faceless ghost muttered, not knowing where the sound came from. I am super, and I was really successfully bargained for. Where's the student ID card? If the student ID card is not half-priced, I can't guarantee that students from the school will come here to play. 250 thriller coins. You scolded me for 250? I want to file a complaint against you for insulting tourists. I want to post it on Douyin to expose you as an unscrupulous businessman. Give it to you. The faceless ghost stretched out his hand and stopped making any sound. He was afraid that if he couldn't bear it next time, he would want to kill this human being. He really deserves a beating. The two players on the side were completely dumbfounded. Can you still play like this? I am leaving. Shen Jian left with satisfaction. After he argued hard, the 1,000 tickets were reduced to free. Free things are just delicious. After figuring out the direction, Shen Jian walked directly to the horror house. Horror house. Shen Jian stopped and was silent for a moment. Because I found a long queue at the door of the horror house. Didn't you say it was about to close down? Is this horror house so attractive to ghosts? Are they all here for excitement? Shen Jian thought about the price of 1,000 horror coins. Is there anything special about this house of horrors? Shen Jian was at the end of the queue. He glanced at the team in front. It suddenly occurred to me that these were not all goods. A first-class local ghost, very pure. Such ghosts and ghosts in the horror game have been infected with many bad karma, and they can be caught accurately. This is not a cue, this is clearly a self-service to fill the 18th level of hell for him. Shen Jian's eyes moved. Then he patted the buddy in front. That's a starving ghost. He was as skinny as a stick, half of his body was made of bones, and there was no skin at all. He looked like a human-shaped skeleton walking. When he saw someone taking pictures of him, he turned around. He noticed the human behind him and was stunned for a moment, then his eyes greedily glanced at Shen Jian's body. It's food. Delicious food. Want to take a bite? Shen Jian's seductive voice sounded. The starving ghost drooled and nodded desperately. How about this? If you punch me, I'll let you take a bite. The starving ghost was still nodding his head desperately. In other words, he could no longer hear what Shen Jian was saying. There was only a desire for food in his eyes. As long as you agree, I always treat you with courtesy first and then attack with force. Shen Jian took out a sack from his body. Trick, soul-binding bag, exclusive to Yin difference. Introduce : Starving ghost. What are you doing with the sack? No, why on earth did you think of carrying a sack with you? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 35. Looking at the human being carrying a sack, the ghosts around him stared blankly. He is also a ruthless person when he carries a sack with him when he goes out. The ghost rope hung on Shen Jian's wrist was unhappy. Hanging in mid-air, pointing at the soul-binding bag, sulking. What? Am I having trouble using it? Why are you looking for a new love? I can also hang ghosts. The ghost rope was dangling in the air, and he almost cursed this charming bitch. Shen Jian comforted, you are my baby, and he is my baby. If you don't conflict with each other, you have to give my baby a chance to show off, right? You are still the one I love most. The ghost rope twists and turns. Lower slowly. The headband was raised as if in demonstration. You see, I am the one who is favored the most, and you can only do this kind of dirty work. My concubine is higher than you. I have grace alone. Soul-binding bag. The ghost rope stabilized. The starving ghost can't stand it anymore. The mouth with only bones left cracked open, leaving saliva, and bit into Shen Jian. Shen Jian took out another morning stick and beat him with the stick. When it hits the starving ghost, black smoke rises, the yin energy dissipates, and it looks thinner. After a few knocks, the starving ghost was already vomiting black water and was thrown into the sack by Shen Jian. Soul-binding bag, one of Yin's exclusive sets. Mainly used to pretend to be ghosts. Even the Ghost King can't get out. There is no way, there are a lot of ghosts here. If everyone is hung up with a ghost rope, it would be too high profile, which is not in line with his usual style. And you have to be careful not to scare children at the amusement park. The soul-binding bag is undoubtedly the best choice. 5 seconds later, watching the starving ghost being caught in a sack, the ghosts around him seemed to realize something was wrong. There is something about this human being. Shen Jian stepped forward, and the one-armed ghost in front also saw Shen Jian's amazing move. He weighed his strength. I feel like I have a chance of winning. How dare a human to kidnap their own kind in their ghostly territory? How could he endure this? Originally, due to the rules of the horror world, they could not attack human opponents for no reason, but since humans took the initiative to break the rules, they did not need to abide by them. Yin energy spreads from the one-armed ghost's body, and the level of terror has reached that of the white-clothed ghost. One arm is covered with corpses, and it is clawing at Shen Jian like a ghost's claw. Snapped. Shen Jian hit him with a stick, and the one-armed ghost was knocked to the ground. Sent into sack. The process takes no more than 3 seconds. The whole process seemed to go smoothly. Tool Ghost Add 1. Hello, you are so oily, I don't want you. Looking at the corpse oil ghost who turned around, Shen Jian felt disgusted. The oil content was too high and it all leaked. After putting the sack in, he thought he would have to clean it later. Corpse oil ghost. Seeing the weird looks from his kind from all directions, the corpse oil ghost fell into silence. He now has two choices. 1. Fight hard. 2. Get out of the way. He is a ghost, a native of the horror world, and humans are his food. Is it possible for him to make way for food now? The corpse oil ghost stepped aside and gave up his position obediently. Brother, I am a water ghost, and I will also soil your sack. I will leave now. Further ahead, a drowned female water ghost also turned back obediently and then silently stepped aside. Shen Jian put a hand on her shoulder. Oh? Does that mean you are good at water? I want to study it. Water ghost? I always feel that something is wrong with the other person's tone. Go in by yourself, it will save you some pain. Shen Jian opened the mouth of the sack and signaled the water ghost to go in obediently. Water ghost. Run. Seeing this, more water dripped from the water ghost's body. Just run away. The footprints are full of water stains. Shen Jian clicked his tongue and took out the soul enchanting chain from his body. The hook flew away and caught the water ghost back. The pain made the water ghost scream. Water is constantly seeping out of the body. Shen Jian tasted the water dripping on him, it was a bit salty. It's an authentic water ghost. The ghosts at the front of the queue all had their eyelids twitching wildly. Where did this human being pull out so many weird things? Even the ghost in white couldn't struggle out. What else are you playing with? Just run for your life. Within a few minutes, the horror house where there was a long queue was suddenly clear of ghosts. Hey, don't run. Shen Jian was stunned. The soul-seducing chain was sent out, but only 3 of them were brought back. He couldn't help but sigh. Is it so difficult to do business these days? Seeing that no ghost came back or approached, Shen Jian finally moved forward and arrived at the door of the horror house. Throw the ticket away. Went straight into the haunted house. The ghosts just now are just local ghosts with varying strengths. Most of them have not reached the level of ghosts in white, but the ghosts in the game project are different. This is a 2-star dungeon, so the quality of the ghosts should be very high. He set a small goal for himself. Catch enough ghosts needed for the 3rd level of the 18 hells. The player has entered the horror house and the game officially begins. Task tip, get out of here. Note, bypass the dean. The scarlet panel reveals the writing. Shen Jian glanced at it. As soon as you enter the house, a strange fluctuation began to appear. It was a ghost sound. It can make ghosts more immersive. The ghostly sound spreads, introducing the background. The theme of the horror house is Battle Royale. The location is an abandoned unfinished building. This used to be a hospital, where a mad scientist studied the secrets of ghosts. Later, a fire destroyed all the results. Many ghosts accidentally wandered into this building. The scientist searched for ghosts everywhere to continue his research. Tourists are ordinary people who accidentally broke into this place. They have to decipher the secret of the fire and escape from here. Shen Jian stopped. His face was a little solemn, because he saw the 3 blood numbers 444 printed on the wall of the horror house. 444 Mental Hospital? The theme background here is Mental Hospital number 444. Shen Jian has not forgotten that the story of the cracked girl is likely to be in this hospital. An unexpected surprise. Shen Jian walked in the dark and empty building. There were scorch marks all over the walls. There are some numbers, some runes, and some words written in a hurry, vaguely. The usual horror house routine. but with the blessing of ghost sounds, this effect becomes immersive. It is indeed a game project that can only be experienced with 1000 thriller coins. If it were other players who came here, they would have been lost in the ghost sounds and thought that they were ordinary people who broke into this place. Shen Jian took one look and moved on. He's not good at solving puzzles or anything like that. He still prefers to get the answer from the person involved. Ghost eyes, find the dean for me. Shen Jian whispered. A scarlet eye opened on the back of Shen Jian's hand and kept wandering around. Brother, this ghostly sound is interfering with my vision. I can't find it. Ghost eye shouted. Shen Jian's face was expressionless, and his hands were already on his eyes. If you are so useless, don't blame me for letting Shadow Cree control you. Ghost eye? That stupid shadow wants to control me? Impossible, absolutely impossible. To control it, he also controls the shadow. You do not believe. Shen Jian exerted slight force with his 5 fingers. Dian screamed in pain, brother, you are my big brother, I have a way, I have a way. Shen Jian let go. Gui looked at the 5 fingerprints that had been taken out on his body. If he took a step deeper, he would probably die. Horrible. This new big brother is a bit scary. Dian's body glowed red. Shen Jian frowned and his arms felt a little itchy. 2 scarlet eyes popped out. They appeared in a row on Shen Jian's arm. 3 ghost eyes opened at the same time. Shen Jian found that his sight expanded to 100 meters. Within 100 meters, all buildings seemed to be in vain. Brother, how about it? Once I opened 3 of my eyes, the ghost in white wouldn't be able to feed me. I think back then, when all 9 of my eyes were open, even if the Ghost King came, he would have to leave an arm. Ghost Eyes said coaxingly. The eyes of the 3 ghosts were filled with pride. But brother, you have to hurry up. I've just restored some strength in you, but I can't sustain the 3-eye mode for a long time. Good. Shen Jian glanced around and was very satisfied. He had already discovered traces of the Dean's ghost, as well as several local ghosts that had come into play before. A bold idea came to his mind. The Dean can do this battle royale, why can't he do it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 36. The second floor of the haunted house. Kuzi, Kiza. A figure wearing a blood-stained white coat was walking in the corridor. He was holding a chainsaw stained red, and the sound of the gears pulling was very obvious in the silent corridor, which scared the ghosts and caused them to run away and scream again and again. Under the flickering light, the face of a middle-aged man in his 30s was reflected. His complexion was livid and there was no expression on his face, which gave people a very palpitating feeling. Like a crazy doctor. The ghost doctor walked around a corner holding a chainsaw. A human came from behind. The ghost doctor was stunned. Suddenly looking back, that person was there, in a dimly lit place. Ah, it's a heart-pounding feeling. Hey hey hey. The ghost doctor let out a weird laugh, and the sound of gear friction was playing violently. He turned around and walked towards Shen Jian step by step. The corner of his mouth quickly curled up to his ears, looking ferocious and terrifying. The chainsaw was raised high, about to split this human being. Snapped. A morning stick flew over and hit the ghost doctor hard on the forehead. Ah! The ghost doctor's head immediately bulged with a big lump, and the whole ghost was stunned and screamed. Who I am? Where am I? What should I do? Obviously, this flying stick confused him. Since when did tourists dare to beat up actors? It's okay if you don't run away, but you still beat people. Do you think extra performers are not human beings? The extras are also dignified. The ghost doctor was angry. He glared at Shen Jian fiercely. Human, you have run out of weapons. The words have not yet fallen. Shen Jian took out another morning stick from his body. This time it's the black version. Ghost doctor. Forget it. He is very conscientious and believes that group performances do not require dignity. He cursed and ran away. Shen Jian picked up the white morning stick and chased after him. At the same time, he picked up a test paper and threatened, "Do you know what this is? It's a junior high school test paper. Believe it or not, I will let you do the questions on the spot." Ghost doctor. I knock, it's too vicious. I am a ghost who has graduated from a ghost school for decades. Let alone junior high school knowledge, I can't understand it even if I am in the 4th grade of elementary school or above. Isn't this just bullying people in society? The ghost doctor stopped and said without tears, "What do you want to do? I'm just an extra. If you want revenge, you should go to the boss." Shen Jian. Do you know about 444 mental hospital? The ghost doctor shook his head in confusion. Then why are you running away? Shen Jian slapped him with a big dick. Ghost doctor. You are being unreasonable. You chased me with such a big and long stick, and even stabbed me. Do you have any idea why I ran away? Snapped. Then just say you don't know about 444 mental hospital. Shen Jian was out of breath. Because I have no idea what 444 mental hospital is. But now I know. That's where you escaped from. The ghost doctor was very aggrieved. Being beaten and threatened for no reason, his ghost life must be too pitiful. Shen Jian dropped the soul-binding bag. Get out by yourself, don't force me to do it. Ghost doctor? Oh shit. I don't know what to ask, why should I be put in the sack? He felt extremely wronged, but looking at the two big sticks, one black and one white, he succumbed to the power of this human being. Wait a minute, take off this white coat. Shen Jian thought for a while and said again. Ghost doctor. I don't sell my appearance. Of course, if you are strong enough, I can lie down. Shen Jian cursed and kicked the ghost doctor into the sack. He picked up the white coat on the ground and put it on. Get the chainsaw again. Well, that's a bit like that. Shen Jian glanced at him. The three ghost eyes glowed with strange red light. All viewing angles within 100 meters are under control. But after only holding on for less than 30 seconds, the three ghost eyes withered. The two were closed, leaving only the one on the back of the hand still rotating. Are you too useless? You're done in 30 seconds. Is there anyone shorter than you in this world? Shen Jian sighed. The ghosts on him are more twitchy than the other. Ghost eye? You are a bit insulting. I remember back then, when I had all 9 eyes open, even the Ghost King had to kowtow to see me. Brother, I am short of food. Even if I recover, I can only recover to 3 eyes. Please let me eat something. I think back then, I recovered with 9 eyes. What to eat? Humans. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. If humans can't do it, ghost meals can also be used. In the horror world, there are ghost chefs who help ghosts replenish their yin energy and even increase their yin energy. My eldest brother brought me a feast, and I was so strong. Shen Jian was stunned. Horror world, this thing? Can it increase yin qi? Good, you brought up a constructive idea. Shen Jian nodded, already having a plan in mind. Ghost eye. I always feel like I said something terrible. Shen Jian started walking towards the location of the ghost that the ghost eye just detected. These ghosts are local ghosts from the horror world and come to visit the horror house. Catching tricks outside is a bit conspicuous. But when he entered the House of Horrors, didn't he have the final say in everything? Drag the little black room, take the little black stick, hey hey hey. The evil laugh echoed in the horror house. As Shen Jian walked, he sent a message to the chat interface. King Yama, today is Crazy Friday, V is 50, I will show up on time. MOU. Master Shan, oh, it's just a merry-go-round what I'm talking about here today, even a 3-year-old child wouldn't be able to complete. Master Shan at MOU, you can't finish it, can you? No way, there won't be anyone who can't complete a 2-star copy. MOU. She felt like she had met 2 psychos. This is a 2-star copy. Can you two be normal? Shen Jian was also stunned for a moment. It is indeed a quality match. My teammates are all very awesome. Don't even need help. Then he wouldn't be in a hurry to go out to collect some tricks, and just have fun here. A corner. Shen Jian ran into 3 ghosts head-on. 2 men and 1 woman. Ghost student dress up. Run quickly, it's the dean in the information. The 3 ghosts screamed and ran away. Jajaja, excellent experimental material. Shen Jian opened the chainsaw, let out a weird laugh, and grabbed the 3 ghosts. After a while of chasing each other, Shen Jian finally blocked the 3 ghosts. We lost and got caught. The 3 ghost students were unhappy. But these are the rules of the horror house, and they can't beat the extras. Shen Jian dropped a sack. Ghost student? I understand, this is because I don't want us to know the exit of the horror house, otherwise it will be boring next time. A ghost student suddenly realized. He opened the sack and got in. The remaining 2 ghost students followed suit and got into the sack one by one. It was also thoughtfully tied with hemp rope. Shen Jian. You are really a special talent. It would be a pity not to write Dai Hualio novels. Carrying the sack and luggage, Shen Jian continued to look for the next ghost to come to the horror house. In just 10 minutes, he had harvested a bag full. Just as Shen Jian was waiting for the next batch of ghosts to enter. Chat interface. Master Shan, save me. Master Shan, brothers and sisters, I admit that I was a little louder just now. Children over 7 years old are not allowed to play on this merry-go-round. Now I feel like I have chewed Xian Mai and I can't stop at all. Master Shan, there is a ghost boy chasing me behind me. This naughty boy is playing with me and wants to bite my ass. Master Shan at King Yama, brother, you are my eldest brother. When I came here, I discovered that you look exactly like the eldest brother. I am sworn to brother, please accept my homage. Master Shan, brother, if you don't come here, I will be killed. Shen Jian. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 37. Ding, player Shan Gongzi will transfer 50 thriller coins to you. After Shen Jian finished a thrilling battle royale adventure, he couldn't help but twitch when he saw the dense messages on the chat interface. Good guy. The slap in the face came so quickly. He glanced at the time. 10 minutes have passed since the other party sent the first rescue message, and the other party is still sending messages. I guess there shouldn't be any rush. The ghost eyes opened and Shen Jian looked for the direction. Came to a dressing room. The horror house is huge. From the outside, it looks like the size of a 3-story building. But the actual area is much larger than imagined. Even if the 3 ghost eyes are opened, they have only explored the tip of the iceberg of the horror house. No, Shen Jian walked and found the dressing room of the haunted house. A long-nosed ghost was dressing up in front of the mirror, holding a colored crayon in his hand. Every time he drew a mark on his face, his temperament changed a little. In just 1 minute, the image turned into what Shen Jian had seen. The ghost doctor. Their demeanor is exactly the same. This ghost doctor is a wholesaler. Shen Jian was slightly surprised. Went in. Not expecting anyone to come in, he turned around. Then he saw a human wearing a red and white coat and holding a chainsaw gently closing the door. Long-nosed ghost. Why are you wearing the clothes of a ghost doctor? I'm on duty now, take it off for me. The long-nosed ghost stretched out his hand to pull off Shen Jian's clothes. After a lesson with sticks, the long-nosed ghost squatted in the corner, shivering. Who taught you to put on this makeup? Shen Jian asked. The layout of the horror house may be the layout of 444 mental hospital. In other words, if a ghost restored it all, then the ghost doctor he saw should be the director of this mental hospital. If you catch this ghost, you should be able to complete the plot mission of the Rift Girl. The long-nosed ghost pointed at the makeup pen on the table. Shen Jian grabbed it. Weird object makeup pen. Introduction, pick it up and it will automatically draw the picture in the host's mind. Note, do not wear makeup. Shen Jian was thoughtful. Paint a picture in the user's mind? In other words, the owner of this makeup pen had personally met the director of the mental hospital. Shen Jian glanced around and saw a portrait next to the mirror. That's exactly what a ghost doctor looks like. In other words, he is the dean of the psychiatric building number 444. Where is our store manager? Shen Jian knelt down and said kindly. I advise you to think clearly. If you offend the store manager, you still have a way to survive. But if you offend me now, your chances of survival will be slim. Long-nosed ghost. Be kind and kind. The long-nosed ghost shook his head. The store manager will only appear randomly. Shen Jian was disappointed. Pack up the long-nosed ghost and take it away. I glanced at the chat interface and saw that the other party was still sending messages wildly. I have already cheated him for almost 2,000 thriller coins. It's time to go out. Carrying the sack, Shen Jian walked out of the entrance. I saw a staff member standing nearby. He met Shen Jian's eyes, and his eyes moved to the sack again. This is... Shen Jian paused for a second. I caught the pet. Staff member. Hear this. The staff fell into a brief silence. You have a bulging bag, and you didn't even open it. You told me it's a pet? Do you think I believe it? Maybe it felt like a savior. The ghost in the sack began to cry. From time to time there were sounds coming from the sack. Shen Jian frowned and kicked him forward. It was quiet inside for a moment. Please open, no one is allowed to take anything out privately in the House of Horrors. The staff stopped Shen Jian. Boom. A white morning stick fell. Shen Jian scratched his head. Sorry, I don't feel safe. I carry a stick with me. Is this normal? Staff member. The ghost took half a step back. Good guy, do you think you want to attack me? But the responsibility lies. He could only take courage. Boom. A black sickle fell out again. Shen Jian picked it up. The bloody chainsaw fell again. Staff member. That's his duty. Responsibility is an egg. He made away with difficulty. Let Shen Jian leave. Crying in the sack. He didn't hear the egg cry. Horror house props? That's obviously a fake. That's all. Shen Jian walked out of the House of Horror. The ghosts around were like frightened birds, all running away. Shen Jian was disappointed for a while. He was so angry that he just wanted to give these homeless ghosts a home. After figuring out the direction, Shen Jian walked towards the carousel project. Soon I saw Mr. Shan sitting on the wooden horse. A pink ghost boy was chasing behind him. Less than 2 bodies away. Brother, my dear brother, you are finally here. Mr. Shan shouted as if he had seen his savior. Surprised and horrified at the same time. This eldest brother he just became sworn brother is a bit fierce. He was able to walk out of the House of Horrors. He just chose the simplest carousel ride and almost died. The other party chose the most difficult haunted house adventure and came out alive, looking shiny. Those who didn't know thought the other party had checked the box. Mr. Shen continued, "Brother, this carousel is a trap. People over 7 years old are not allowed to go on this project. Otherwise, the carousel will never stop, and the game itself will not prompt. This is to kill us. You must not come up, otherwise you will not be able to come down. And this ghost boy is no less powerful than an ordinary white-clothed ghost. Let's see if we can lure him away." The words just fell. Shen Jian has already stepped onto the merry-go-round. Step hard. The moment the vibration sounded, the entire carousel suddenly stopped as if it had suffered some kind of fatal crisis. "Young Master Shen. Ghost boy." The ghost boy's chubby little face was instantly confused. Then he saw a hand reaching out to him, grabbing the back of his neck and lifting him up. The ghost boy screamed, using his hands and feet, his face full of grief and indignation. No, he was suppressed by his bloodline. "How old are you? You are still playing such a childish game. Do you know how many days are left before you have to take the college entrance examination? How can you keep playing?" Shen Jian picked up the ghost boy and threw him to the ground. Ouch! The ghost boy was in pain and sat down on the ground, staring at Shen Jian with tears in his eyes. Shen Jian was also unambiguous. He threw the blood-stained exam paper directly. "If you don't finish it, I'll invite your parents tomorrow," Shen Jian said fiercely. The ghost boy was attracted by the test paper and was forced to stand in front of it. He picked up his pen and started answering the questions. He burst into tears immediately. It was indeed bloodline suppression. This human being is not a human being. How old am I? Just let me do this test paper. Today he finally saw the dangers of the world. The ghost boy looked at Shen Jian sadly and angrily. Shen Jian ignored it at all and looked at Mr. Shan. "Do you have something to say to me? It was too noisy just now and I didn't hear clearly." "Young Master Shan. So, you stopped the merry-go-round just because you were too noisy? My dear mother. This is not a sworn brother. This is obviously my eldest brother." Young Master Shan came to Shen Jian's side and said, "Brother, I have a younger sister who depends on me. She is fair and beautiful. How about I introduce you to her? You're such an ugly human being, how beautiful can your sister be?" the ghost boy whimpered. Hearing Mr. Shan's flattery, he looked with contempt on his face and angrily spat at the human being he was teasing. Then he looked at Shen Jian and said, "Human, please let me go, and I will introduce my sister to you. To be honest, I not only have a miserable sister, but also a miserable sister. Poor mother, let me introduce you to her." "Shen Jian? Single son, 6 something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace." Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 38. As soon as Katong said these words, Shen Jian's eyes changed when he looked at him. Become somewhat affable. Mr. Shan slowly raised a question mark. "Who would be interested in your ghost sister, and mother? Think of us as Su Xian." Shen Jian walked out. Mr. Shan is confident of victory. The ghost boy watched in horror, but his eyes couldn't help but look at the test paper. Bai Pangpang's body began to tremble uncontrollably. Is his ghost life going to end here? I suddenly realized that you are quite cute. You really shouldn't be restrained by your studies so early. Shen Jian spoke. He picked up the blood-stained exam paper. The ghost boy regained his mobility. He was stunned in place. Remember what you said, if I can't see your sister, and mother, I will light a sky lantern with you. Shen Jian picked up the ghost boy and said. The ghost boy's legs kicked wildly, trying to break free. But after struggling for several times to no avail, he had no choice but to give up. He pulled his head and said, "Brother, I have something to say, can you put me down? After all, I am a ghost in white, and I am also a tyrant in this amusement park. I feel very embarrassed like this. What if you run away?" Shen Jian shook his head. Catching a ghost boy also comes with 3 ghosts, which is a great deal. The ghost boy was completely withered. Let Shen Jian carry it. Young Master Shen. He was wrong. It's really Su Xian. His sister lost to the 3 sisters, mother and daughter. It doesn't seem unfair, but something seems wrong. Chat interface. King Yama at MOU, are you dead? Didn't make a sound. MOU, squeak. King Yama, do you need help? Me 50, I will take you to eat chicken. MOU, your side, it's solved. There was deep shock in her words. What's the situation? Are today's level 13 players already so defiant? MOU, if you are free, you can go and help Mr. Shan first. He was silent just now. I can do it here. Master Shan, thank you for the invitation. I am at the amusement park and my elder brother is taking care of me. MOU. You have received 50 thriller coins from the player MOU. Looking at the reminder above, Shen Jian looked back. The mouth said no, but the body was very honest. That's what he likes. In a house of horrors, he captured a ghost doctor, a long-nosed ghost and 2 white ghosts. On a merry-go-round, he caught a ghost boy, also a ghost in white. I think I could even come up with a white ghost in a photo studio. This is so rewarding. The quality of 2-star copies is just different. Soon. The 2 of them came to the photo studio as soon as possible. The player MOU was standing at the door, holding an old ghost camera in his hand, seeming to be filming something. You are here, MOU explained. This 2-star dungeon mission is confusing. It is not for us to play, but for ghosts. The essence of the game we selected is to let ghosts play with us. It's hard for Mr. Shan to disagree. His game project seems to be to complete a merry-go-round, but in fact he is letting the ghost boy play with him, and he has to survive the ghost boy's play. So what are you going to do? Shen Jian asked. Take a beautiful ghost photo. MOU had a headache, and the finished film needs to be shown to the ghost who shot it. Only when the ghost is satisfied can it be considered a success. I took a photo before and almost didn't get killed by a ghost. Now I don't know which ghost to choose. His Mr. Shan gasped. This task is much more difficult than him. It really tests your eyesight. If a ghost with a violent and high level of terror is selected, it will be difficult for the player to resist the attack once the ghost's killing pattern is activated. Will this one work? Shen Jian carried the ghost boy and said. MOU was frightened and backed away. His face turned pale. I didn't pay attention just now, but now I realized that what Shen Jian was holding was actually a ghost. And the level of horror is not low. Such a ghost is being carried like this? No temper? Ghost boy. Do I dare to have a temper? MOU came back to his senses, looked at Shen Jian with a change of eyes, shook his head and said, I asked the boss, and the boss said that ghost babies and the like don't count because they can't distinguish between beauty and ugliness. Ghost boy. I can't tell the difference between beauty and ugliness. Wow, you stinky woman, you dare to say this to me, are you afraid that I will reveal the fact that you are ugly? The ghost boy yelled. MOU. You see, let me just say that ghost babies cannot tell the difference between beauty and ugliness. Shen Jian glanced away. He pointed at an approaching headless ghost. This one's not bad. The 2 players were shocked. Brother, the yin energy in this ghost is almost beyond the limit. Didn't you see that the ghost boy was scared? However, Shen Jian's eyes were shining and he had already chosen a target. Can I take a picture for you? Shen Jian greeted him with a ghost camera. The headless ghost was stunned for a moment, then grabbed it aside, pulled out the head of one of the ghosts, placed it on his own head, and then showed a cruel smile. Shoot! This scene completely frightened the two players. His face turned pale. This scene is extremely impactful. He casually picked off a ghost's head, and the level of horror was seriously beyond the limit. They suspected that this headless ghost had almost reached the Tsingy level. This is a configuration for 3-star or even 4-star players. Seeing this, Shen Jian smiled more kindly. It's like this. Our theme is light and darkness, so we need to find a place with shadows. That alleyway is good, what do you think? The headless ghost was just laughing. The smile was cruel. He walked straight to the alley. As a human being who doesn't know whether to live or die, he has already made up his mind. No matter how powerful he is in the photo later, he won't say it will look good. To brutally kill this human being. A few minutes later. Looking at the headless ghost squatting in the corner of the alley crying silently. The two fell apart. Shoot! Shen Jian took back the morning stick and let out a breath. It's been a long time since I've exercised like this, and high-level ghosts are more durable. He was fully active. Shen Jian walked over and said, "Stop squatting. Didn't you see that you were about to take a photo? Smile for me." Headless ghost. He felt humiliated. But looking at Shen Jian's dangerous eyes, he suppressed his trembling body and showed an indescribable smile. Mr. Shan next to him couldn't hold it back and laughed out loud, because the smile was so funny that he almost felt like crying. Headless ghost. Shen Jian stepped forward with a dangerous look in his eyes. Don't you know how to smile? Do you still want me to teach you? Go on, be sure to capture the most beautiful one. After hearing the order, the headless ghost forced out an extremely funny smile. The corners of his mouth were obviously grinning, but his expression looked extremely sad. Puff. Mou, who was taking the photo, covered his mouth when he saw this, waved his hands and said, "I'll restrain myself." Headless ghost. It's too much to bully ghosts, it's too much to bully ghosts. He was shaking all over. He was a ghost with a bright future, but now he was dragged into a dark corner, where he was forced to laugh and his body was photographed. There was also a villain threatening him next to him. He couldn't hold himself any longer. I am a ghost after all. Can you respect me? Ghosts also have dignity. His expression grew sadder. When Shen Jian saw this, he frowned. This won't work. The most beautiful photos must contain a smile. But the other person obviously has nothing to do with laughter. The twisted melon is not sweet. Shen Jian thought for a moment and focused his eyes on the headless ghost's head. Hey, they are all headless ghosts, what the hell are they doing with their heads? This time, my thoughts suddenly became clear. Shen Jian took off the hot head of the headless ghost. Looking at it again, it's much more pleasing to the eye. And there's no need to see the ghost's expression. It doesn't matter whether you smile or not. Player. You must be a devil. Click. The sound of taking pictures sounded. Looking at the headless ghost squatting on the ground and posing in an enchanting pose, Shen Jian was satisfied. He asked Mou to submit the task with the photo. And he opened the sack. He said expressionlessly, "Go in." Headless ghost? Damned. You've already humiliated me like this, and you still want to put a sack on me? Isn't this a bit unreasonable? Could you go any further? Shen Jian took out the morning stick. Headless ghost. Maggots that blacken the heart. He was convinced and got into the sack in humiliation. Looking at the dozens of ghosts of various sizes inside, he felt even more sad. When he cried, the other ghosts also cried. Shen Jian ignored it completely. Walked out of the alley. Ready to play other projects. He counted that there were a total of 23 games in this amusement park. After each playthrough, he can produce dozens more ghosts. Perfect. At this time, a line of scarlet font appeared in front of Shen Jian. The player King Yama has been boycotted by all the monsters in the supernatural amusement park and banned from the game for 3 days. Shen Jian. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chigua. Chapter 39. Real World. Shen Jian suddenly opened his eyes, and after seeing his surroundings clearly, he was shocked. This is banned. What's going on? This round of game has ended. Congratulations to the player for surviving, he is about to enter the settlement stage. Evaluation, A. Experience gained, 300%. Note, you have been promoted to level 14. Item obtained, Thriller Coin *1000. Note, the universal currency of thriller games can be used in the thriller world. Get special reward, admission ticket, Thriller World. Warning, due to complaints from all the monsters in the supernatural amusement park for your behavior, you have been suspended for 3 days and are not allowed to enter the game during this period. Looking at the scarlet font above, Shen Jian was furious. Supernatural Game Park, he remembered this grudge. If he doesn't raise his voice next time, he will put his face as the king of hell. Shen Jian took out the admission ticket for the game reward. This is very similar to a replica coupon, it is a red stamp. Just when Shen Jian wanted to tear it apart, a line of reminder appears. Warning, you have been suspended for 3 days and cannot enter the horror world. Countdown, 72:00. Shen Jian. Netherworld. Shen Jian said to himself. Heaven and earth lose color, and the passage to hell appears. Hell. Yama Hall. Shen Jian unfolded the 18 levels of hell. Although he was suspended, he actually caught everything he should have caught this time. Not only can you unlock the 3rd level of the 18 levels of hell, but there is still more left. The 3rd level of hell has been unlocked. Can be customized. 4th level of 18 levels of hell, unlockable. Unlocking conditions, 10 ghosts in white. Shen Jian was stunned. The conditions in the 4th level of hell have changed. Although the total amount seems to be the same, the rarity of the ghost in white is not comparable to that of other monsters. From this point of view, it becomes increasingly difficult to unlock the 18th level of hell as you go up. We need white-clothed ghosts now, and we may need green-clothed level, red-clothed level, or even Ghost King level monsters. Shen Jian was thoughtful. System prompts also appear simultaneously. Mission, rebuild the underworld. The 2nd stage, unlocking the 3rd level of the 18 levels of hell, completed. Reward, Qin Guangwang Palace. Shen Jian was slightly startled. According to mythological records, the Hall of King Yama is the 1st hall of the underworld, but due to some reasons, it was demoted to the 5th hall. Today, the 1st palace of the underworld is the palace of King Qin Guang. Of course, the reason why he was stunned was not that there was an extra palace in the underworld, but Shen Jian opened the game panel. Player, King Yama. Level, 1-4. Identity, King of Yama, King of Qin Guang. Abilities, Pressure of Ghosts and Gods, Ghost Energy of Ghosts and Gods, Blood of Ghosts and Gods, Good Omen of the Netherworld. When Shen Jian saw this, he had a true expression on his face. He has another identity. King Guang of Qin. And mastered the divine power of King Qin Guang. It was exactly the same as when he inherited the palace of Yama. The blood of ghosts and gods, the good omen of the underworld. Shen Jian was thoughtful. King Guang of Qin, the leader of the 10 kings of hell, is in charge of the 1st palace. It is responsible for the registration of life and death in the human world. It governs the length of human lifespan. The merits and demerits of a life pass through the city gods and land in various places. The supervisory department reports to this palace, and the king of Qinguang personally judges and pronounces judgments. This is the king of hell who controls the lifespan of the human world. Most of his divine power is directed at humans in the Yang world. There is no overlap with the divine power of King Yama. Thinking. Shen Jian returned to the human world. Walking on the street, my eyes scanned. If you look carefully, you will find that his eyes have become unusual. In his eyes, everyone is staring at a series of numbers. A middle-aged man in a hurry walked past, and Shen Jian saw a few simple messages. Name, Gu Ping. Age, 42 years old. Good omen, good luck, helping noble people, prospering the family and business. Remaining lifespan, 35 years, 65 days, 11 hours, 43 minutes, and 23 seconds. Shen Jian's face was expressionless. Look to the other side. He looked at a young and beautiful girl. Name, Zhen Wen. Age, 23 years old. Good omen, half bad and half good, first bitter, then sweet. Remaining lifespan, 64 years, 352 days, 6 hours, 32 minutes, and 12 seconds. Looking away, Shen Jian was thoughtful. This is one of King Qinguang's abilities, a good omen in the dark world. Watch life and death in this world. Except that I can't change my lifespan, my ability should be equivalent to a weakened version of the Book of Life and Death. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. After watching it for a while, I lost interest. He returned to his residence. Lying on Sadeko's lap, enjoying the head treatment. The pen fairy appeared, dressed in a red dress, dancing gracefully. Shen Jian watched, but his thoughts were wandering. He was thinking about something else. After completing the 2-star copy, he gained the permission to stay in the horror world. Now he only has to wait for the 3-day countdown to end before he can truly enter this ghost world. The next thrilling game will be in 9 days. He no longer has the copy redemption coupon. After thinking about it, Shen Jian clicked on all his game friends and sent a group message. King Yama himself at all members, please be private when you are free. The next day. Jingle bell. The cell phone rings. Shen Jian picked up the phone. There was a female voice inside. The voice was very familiar. It was Cai Min who had played psychic games. Master, we are in trouble. Cai Min whispered. Did you see a ghost again? You guys are lucky. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. Cai Min. They would rather not have this luck. It's not us, it's our boss. Master, didn't you just say a few days ago that there was something wrong with that pen? I asked our boss, and she didn't know who sent it. Later, when we called the surveillance system, we found out that that person actually it was sent by the other company. Cai Min explained, after the ghost disappeared, the company was only stable for 2 days, but our boss started to say that there was a ghost in her office. She often felt that something was watching her and made the sound of a baby crying. Shen Jian took the initiative to ignore the news and said bluntly, is there anyone dead? Dead people are the easiest way to determine whether there are supernatural events. Especially all kinds of strange corpses. Cai Min was silent for a while, and suddenly someone else's voice came from the phone. It was also a female voice, with a low tone and clear enunciation, giving people a cold feeling. I am concubine Ji Hai, there is no dead person, but does the handprint count? Handprints. Yes, this is what I discovered yesterday. There are a pair of small blue-black handprints on my skin. No matter how I wash it, I can't wash it off. My servant also claimed to have seen a child running. But in addition to a nanny and no one else. The cold tone was mixed with an unimaginable fear. Even through the phone, Shen Jian could hear the trembling in the tone of this voice. Send the address. Shen Jian's brief words were horrifying. After packing some things, we set off. It is impossible to tell whether it is a prank or a real supernatural event just by listening to the description, but Cai Minmin herself has experienced a psychic event, and there is a pen holder with yin energy as a clue, so it is very likely that it is a supernatural event. If there is a ghost, he is naturally willing to make a trip. Otherwise, he will be exhausted during these few days of suspension. I don't know which king of hell has the power of 7 kidneys, but he really wants to inherit it. Sad. At the same time, in a gorgeous president's office, Cai Minmin comforted, "Boss, the master is a man of real ability. If it weren't for him before, we would have been finished. Since he agreed to come, we are sure of it." Hang up the phone. Sitting on the sofa, Ji Haifei couldn't calm down for a long time. She has worked hard in the business world for many years and has worked hard to reach this point. She has the least belief in evil in her life and thinks that it is all fake and deceptive. But now, she had to give up this idea. Because she really encountered a ghost. So much the better. Ji Haifei forced a smile. The moment he raised his head, his delicate face instantly turned pale. Outside the window, a clear black and blue handprint was printed on it. It was exactly the same as the handprint on her body. But this is the 16th floor. There's a ghost. Looking for a wave of investment, tickets. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 40. Yes, there is a ghost. Ji Haifei turned pale and screamed. Cai Minmin was horrified and looked in the direction of the sound. With just one glance, her face turned pale at the same time. Outside the window, a clear handprint was printed on the glass. The handprint looked very small, not that of an adult, but like the palm of a 3 or 4-year-old baby. The handprints extended all the way from the glass to the ceiling. The two screamed. The height is at least 3 meters. If it is a prank, no one can climb it. The handprints were densely packed and clearly visible. Still glowing black and blue. That's definitely not normal. Next moment, something even more heart-stopping happened. There was a slight sound of footsteps on the floor of the office, and footprints emerged one after another. They were children's footprints, and they were dirty. Footprints were scattered around the room and appeared on the wall. It's like there is an invisible ghost walking in the office. At this moment, Ji Haifei's inner perseverance completely collapsed. Ghost. That's really a ghost. She took Cai Minmin and hid in the safe room in the office. This is an inner room specially designed to deter thugs. It is a professional safe material. Even a gun can't beat it. Lock the safe house door. The two women collapsed to the ground, their faces extremely frightened. He quickly dialed Shen Jian's number again. The call was connected. Shen Jian's voice came out, "Is there anything else?" "Master, are you here now?" "The ghost is here, and the ghost followed from home," Ji Haifei said in panic. "Great, oh, I mean I'll be there as soon as I can." Ji Haifei? Why does she feel that the other party seems a little happy? I must have been too panicked and misheard. Kaz. At this moment, the door to the safe house was turned but did not open. Ji Haifei plucked up her courage and carefully moved to the door, looking through the peephole. A child covered in black and blue with no clothes, stood outside the door, reaching out and turning the door. This child's eyes had no pupils and were pitch black. He raised his head and looked in the direction of the cat's eyes. There was an innocence and a strange evil nature in the dark pupils. She was so frightened that her face turned pale and she backed away repeatedly. "Hey, is there anything else? If nothing happens, I'll hang up, Shen Jian said over there. No, no, don't hang up. Ji Haifei seemed to have grasped the last straw and lowered her voice, the ghost is right outside the door. We are blocked. Please save us. At this time, Shen Jian was also stunned. Has the ghost appeared? Still blocked outside the door? What to do? If the killing pattern had been triggered, the ghost would have killed someone long ago. He thought it was just the ghost that was initially recovering and showing supernatural power. The ghosts at this stage are not able to take action yet, but under the cover of supernatural power, strange situations will occur around them, such as lights going out, walls becoming old, or some environmental changes that should not occur. But once the ghost appears, it means that it has completely recovered. Will kill people in a very short period of time. It was impossible for Ji Haifei to talk to him again. Block the ghost by the door? The most ridiculous thing in the world. What's wrong? Ji Haifei's nervous voice came. Shen Jian said, I will rush there as soon as possible. You can write down your last words and I will give them to your parents. After saying that, Shen Jian put down the phone. Fell into silence. There seems to be something wrong with this ghost. It's such a waste of time. Interesting. The phone was hung up, and Ji Haifei was about to cry. What's wrong? What did Master say? Cai Min also asked quickly. She was simply unlucky for 8 lifetimes. Surprisingly, we encountered supernatural events in just a few days. This time she goes back to ask for some black dog blood. The master said he would arrive as soon as possible. Just as Ji Haifei finished speaking, she saw Cai Min cover her mouth and point tremblingly behind her. She turned around with difficulty. There was only a click and the door opened a crack. Next moment, a child's head poked in, a pair of dark eyes without pupils looking at the 2 women in the room with a strange evil look, and finally his eyes rested on Ji Haifei. The ghost baby opened its mouth and cracked it wider than an ordinary person. At this moment, their inner fear threshold has exceeded the standard. Tianling Gai felt a chill. But suddenly, the ghost baby closed his mouth and ran out of the safe house. From the ghost baby's face, it seems that you can see a bit of panic. The 2 women were surprised. I don't understand why the ghost gave up the attack. Until a minute later, a figure pushed open the door of the safe house completely. He had broken black hair, his wrist was tied with a bloody hemp rope, and there was a cut on the back of his hand, as if an eye was closing. It was Shen Jian. He was also startled when he saw the 2 women. This ghost is so mean. It was almost 5 minutes from the second time he hung up the phone to the time he arrived. Even the weakest ghost doesn't need 5 minutes to kill after triggering the killing pattern. Master, you are finally here. Cai Min seemed to have seen a savior and took Shen Jian's arm. Concubine Ji Hai also looked horrified at escaping from death. Fortunately, the ghost is gone. Leaving? Who told you? Shen Jian's eyes were strange. As soon as these words came out, the 2 women were startled again. Looking around nervously. Don't you think, you haven't left yet? Go. This is the ghost's home. Where is he going? Shen Jian walked out of the safe house and came to the office. Standing in front of a blue and white porcelain building as tall as a person, he knocked lightly, Are you there? Ji Haifei was immediately dumbfounded by Shen Jian's operation. Brother. That's a ghost. Is this really okay with you? Where is your mahogany sword? What about glutinous rice? No matter how bad it is, there must be black dog blood or something. Just do it without any preparation? After knocking 3 times and seeing no response, Shen Jian was a little unhappy. I give you face but you don't want it? Shen Jian kicked the blue and white porcelain over. The big hand grabbed it. Inside a blue and white porcelain vase, a ghost baby, which looks only 3 or 4 years old and is covered in blue and black, is currently curled up in a vase, shivering. Terrible. The yin energy in that human being is so terrifying. He smelled several ghosts. Everyone is better than him. Who brought this on? Who brought the Imperial Army home? Dong dong. At this time, a knocking sound was heard. This was followed by a polite greeting, "Are you there?" Found. The ghost baby became even more frightened. Cannot go out. Even if he is beaten to death, he will not go out. He wanted to pretend he wasn't there. While he was struggling mentally, King Hua porcelain was kicked down. Rolled in place a few times. Guiying felt a little dizzy, but it wasn't a big problem. Just like being pushed by a dog. But the next second, a hand reached out. Grabbed his fate by the throat. He was dragged out forcefully. The ghost baby cried. "Are you still a human being? I've already made it clear that I'm gone, and yet you're still pulling me away like this. Do you want to drive the ghost to death?" His dirty grimace was filled with grief and anger. Directed at Shen Jian was a slurred "Abba Abba." Shen Jian hit him on the head with one punch. "Speak English." Then he turned around and looked at the two women. "Is it this ghost?" "Cai Min Min." "Ji Haifei." The two of them were going crazy. "Is it this ghost? Why do you sound like a fish seller in the market?" "That's a ghost." Ji Haifei swallowed her saliva. "Probably, right." She was a little unsure now. After all, the other party's appearance just now was as terrifying as it was terrifying, as frightening as it was terrifying. But now, just like a whimpering baby. The image difference is too big. Seeing concubine Ji Hai, the ghost baby became ferocious again, and its mouth opened slightly. The mouth had no tongue, no oral cavity, just a bottomless black hole, as if nothing swallowed could ever reappear in this world. Snapped. "You dare to take action in front of me, you are very brave." Shen Jian came over with a big mouth. Guiying immediately turned off the engine. Covering his red face, he looked aggrieved. But the two women backed away again and again. Terrified. Is he still threatening?" Ji Haifei asked tentatively. Shen Jian glanced at it and said, "There is a particularly easy way to tell the difference. If you use a knife to kill it, if it resists, it means there is still a threat and you need to make up for it with a few more cuts. If it doesn't resist, it means it is willing beaten to death by you." Two women. Ghost infant. "I am super, you are really not a human being. Don't come here."